What up guys, it is Justice here and welcome to this video of the Blood Necklace versus Amulet of Souls. And I do apologise right at the beginning that I am fairly ill at the moment. I've got the man flu, which there seems to be an epidemic throughout the UK at the moment, but I'm not going to let that get to me for this video. I really want to launch this for you guys this week. So let's get straight into this video with the stats at the beginning, and in the background you will see me making the Blood Brawler's necklace in the background, so feel free to have a look at that of how it's made from scratch. And the main reason why I'm launching this video is to iron out any confusion between how good the blood necklaces actually are. So let's concentrate on the effects at first, because eventually these effects become almost meaningless when you start looking at reflect immune bosses. So let's start with the blood necklace. Attaching a blood shard to a brawler necklace, for example, this is not going to be looking at the blood shard being attached to a fury. It's kind of almost pointless due to losing out on a bit of damage. Therefore you are best going for the individual amulets themselves. This one in this case is the melee blood brawler necklace. It gives you a plus 44 strength bonus. It's a passive damage as well, around 400 to 600 damage to the opponent whilst healing you for that amount every 15 seconds. Compare this to the Amulet of Souls, which is plus 46 to all combat style bonuses, so it makes it a hybrid amulet, increasing the damage output across, obviously with those extra plus 2 damage bonus compared to the blood necklaces. It also gives you a prayer bonus, which the blood necklaces don't, and a chance to heal 25 to 50% extra from a soul split. I made a full in-depth review of the Amulet of Souls best in class in a video which I'll leave in a link in the description below. Theoretically, with these stats, the blood necklace should deal more DPS over time than the Amulet of Souls, but it does not work on reflect immune bosses, which is pretty much every boss monster in the game, except for the 4 low-level God Wars dungeon bosses Saradomin, Zamorak, Armadil, and Bandos, which makes the Amulet of Souls a better alternative in the majority of PvM situations. What does reflect immune bosses actually mean? Well, there are many attributes within the game that at first glance potentially look like they're going to be extremely useful and viable options in PvM scenarios, and these can be such as deflect curses, so your melee range and mage, maybe poison effects or weapon poison, and also passive effects which are added onto items such as the blood necklace, which is of course which we've gone through within this video, and even like abilities and spells like vengeance, which is part of the Lunar spellbook. However, many of these attributes do not work in high level PvM because the bosses are immune to these extra additions, extra attributes to items or prayers, such as deflect prayers. They don't even deflect damage at high level PvM. It almost makes you think, what is the point in them? Because the only real area which these attributes are going to be useful in and where you're going to really benefit from them is high level PvM. So now that we've established what reflect immune bosses actually means, let's give a few examples of these type of bosses. These are Vorago, Nex, Rise of the Six, and Araxxor, and these are all immune to reflect damage. And I think Cowfight King has a reflect cap of around 500 or so, but again, I've not properly tested that out. So where would you actually benefit from the passive effect created by the blood necklace? The blood necklace works well with Slayer, but as you can see at Corp here, it works beautifully with solo or duo Corp. You do get those heals, you can visually see those heals as well. The 441 heal there from the blood necklace passive effect, which you can see on screen. Going back to the Slayer aspect, yes, it works with Slayer, lower level monsters within the game, but you don't really need to heal on the majority of Slayer tasks, and the extra hits are almost meaningless if you're using tier 90 weapons anyway, good if you're using tier 80 or below. Blood Necklace deals more DPS than the Amulet of Souls whilst at God Wars Dungeon, excluding Nex, and therefore I've got some footage of me using it at Ziliana, which came in very useful actually. Potentially, probably going to use full Tetsu here still in the future, but hardly had to eat really. It was very useful, and it was very nice to see those heals visually on screen. Another one there, 484 whilst at Corporal Beast. It really does make that difference at lower level to mid tier bosses within the game or monsters. Therefore, possibly this amulet is good for lower level players. However, the requirements to make this amulet are absolutely obscene when you look at the rewards from them. So let's have a look at the requirements for each of these amulets. Firstly, the Amulet of Souls. If you don't just buy the Amulet of Souls, which you can do just from the GE for around, I'm not sure what the price is now, but it's between 15 and 20 mil. It requires 99 crafting if you're going to make it from scratch. You need at least 50 combat or above, definitely well and truly above that 120 plus I would say, to actually do the Reaper task effectively, 87 magic to enchant your amulet, and lots of quests. Oh yes, beautiful, very long, enduring quests. Now the requirements to make the blood necklace is even more staggering. 115 dungeoneering to get the blood shard as a drop from enemies, 90 slayer to kill enemies, 80 crafting. If you create a blood necklace with Brawlers, Farsight or Arcane stream, you need to actually have the chaotic shard, which you buy from Demonheim, and that costs 100k tokens. You need 80 attack, range or magic to wield. If you use a fury and make that yourself, as any good Iron Man would, then that requires 87 magic and 90 crafting. While both amulets can be obtained fairly easily from the GE, except for maybe the blood necklace where you'd have to get 100k tokens yourself to buy the chaotic shard, and then of course you need the skills to then put them and attach them together. The blood necklace does require much more content to master, however, if assuming you're going to make that from scratch. The repair charges for a blood necklace are much cheaper. Let's have a look at the repair charges. It's between 500k and 1 mil, depending on the player's smithing level, whilst using it on an armor stand in a player-owned house. And an Amulet of Souls only lasts 10 hours of combat, and it can be charged by 50% with a cut onyx. Oh yeah, by the way, the blood amulet lasts for 20 hours of combat. So I guess that has something going for it in terms of the cost to maintain it is cheaper than the Amulet of Souls due to it lasting for a lot longer, double the amount of time in fact than the Amulet of Souls, making the Amulet of Souls the most expensive amulet out there to upkeep. But do we really care about cost of repairs right now in the current state of the game? This is from a PVM perspective, and if you're PVMing, you're kind of used to the repair charges of equipment, and considering most PVMers at the moment will be wearing Superior Elite Void these days, we don't have as many items to repair. That's just the way it is at the moment. Money making gains. So to summarize, the Amulet of Souls should be used for high level tier PVMing, Vorago, Araxxor and Rots for example, and the Blood Necklace should be used for mid tier PVMing if you want the very best item in class, i.e. Slayer or God Wars Dungeon. The Amulet of Souls should be the first choice when fighting boss monsters that are immune to reflect damage, when comparing against the Blood Necklace where the passive effect does not work in many of these PVM situations, and I assume future high level PVM content too will be, these bosses will be immune to reflex, I assume anyway, but we'll see if Jagex patch anything to do with this in the future throughout 2015. Do you think Jagex should do something, by the way, with reflect immune bosses? I found a couple of interesting forum posts which I'll leave in the description for a read if anyone's interested. Feel free to post your ideas as well in the comment section below. And just a couple of bonus amulets to throw into the equation before I end this video, which maybe a couple of you out there are considering and wondering, well, how do these actually play a part in this debate? Well, the Reaper necklace, which you can make from a Hydrix gem, this needs to be, you need to be hitting a critical hit 1 every 10 seconds for this to be on par at the same DPS level as Amulet of Souls, which is quite rare and you have a low chance of that happening. That's stacking up to 3 times, which is its maximum capacity, making an Amulet of Souls better than the Reaper necklace. And by the way, a Dragon Rider amulet, this is still rumored to deal greater DPS when you're maging, purely maging and not switching out any other weapons. The reason for this is because the Dragon Rider increases the damage done by Dragon Breath by 10%, and it may also cause a shortened combust effect, but you need to be using Dragon Breath at almost every opportunity. But I have yet to really test this out. Potentially in the future I'll be testing it out at Vorago Phase 2 versus the Amulet of Souls. But yeah guys, I'm going to wrap this video up here. If you are a new viewer, be sure to click Vorago's face in the bottom left hand corner to subscribe. And if you found this informative in any way, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I will see you in my next video. Good luck on your PVM trips, and yeah, happy scaping.